I helped 477 business owners make more money and save hundreds of hours with AI. And today, what I'm going to share with you is the Q&A from our weekly calls inside the AI Profit Boardroom, completely for free. So you can watch back the call today. You can see all of the best questions we've got within this call. And we'll be breaking down all of my best workflows for AI, for N8n agents. We'll be answering some of the top FAQs we get, how to stay focused when AI is constantly updating. And if you want to make more money, scale with AI, understand exactly how to use this and the most practical way to implement it today, then make sure you keep watching this coaching session. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out the AI Profit Boardroom. Comes with all of our best tutorials, tips, templates, workflows, an amazing community of people all interested in AI just like you are. Feel free to get that and let's jump straight in.
Welcome everyone. Tyler, quite a big show out today, so that's pretty awesome. So any questions? Anyone interested to kick us off? Go for it. Go for it, Leo.
Start us off, man. I think one of my biggest challenges that I'm facing is exactly what you were just talking about. So much coming out so quick that I'm like, start with one thing and I'm like, oh, now there's this. Well, now there's this. Now there's madness. Now there's convergence. Now there's, call them this one you got to pick. And then you got this, this other end. Which one do you so by the time trying to get momentum with that, and then also thinking, okay, well, now pay for this subscription, I pay for that subscription. I didn't wait. Now I got to undo that. So any tips? Because I want to be able to obviously apply it more than, I love learning. But I want to be able to take that knowledge and be able to apply it. I run an SEO agency, which I'm in conversation with one of your team members as well later on today as well. And I'm already doing well, but the more time I'm having to spend with figuring out all the components of it.
Y'all want to just join in here?
It keeps it from being able to generate
Of
there.
course. Yeah.
So anything that you can speak to that helps me balance that out, or where do you go?
I think that's, it's a great thing to mention. And I think every single one of us is facing, the ever evolving landscape of AI right now. I don't think there's a single person that can say, they have it nailed down. One thing that really helps us, or that really kind of puts us in a little bit of an advantage, is Julian's dedication, as well as how big the company now has got on its own. Basically, we have a lot of time to do everything internally from the SEO perspective, and we're very well established. So that kind of gives us a lot of leeway to experiment with all these tools daily. But Leo, if I have to be very specific, I'm going to say, even though it's an ever evolving landscape and everything changes, there are some things that are very constant and or stable. So, we still see Claude, for example, being absolutely amazing at doing human writing. It might be second for a day or two or even a week, but we still think it's absolutely, pretty good to choose. N8n is still currently probably the best place to kind of set up your workflows and set up your automation if you're looking to make it a little bit more complex, right? 11 Labs is still probably your best bet when it comes to voice recording. So there are very constant, let's say, tools or AI out there that you can kind of focus on and make sure you're the best at them. And for the most part, I think these bigger names are going to remain constant, right? So we're not going to see them drop off the face of the earth. Whether you're going to choose to go with, ChatGPT, or you're going to choose to go with Claude, or maybe even Grok or whatever, all of them are going to remain okay for the most part. Like, they're not going to be, null and void. But yeah, go for it.
I keep bringing up the fact that it feels like such a parallel from 2009 when Bitcoin came out, and trying to figure out all this stuff. And then you got all these apps, all these different coins coming in. That this was going to do this, was going to do that. And then at the end, it surfaces where obviously the money is going to be watching what's working and what's under the buyout. Then you end up with the ones that are the highest, right? So yeah, this is kind of where I'm at. And thank you for just even sharing that, because I have been using mostly primarily either Claude or ChatGPT, but of course, the others.
Yeah. So a little honest kind of feedback here is, I do think that maybe China's AIs are a little bit better right now than, the rest of the world's, because of the fact first that they're open source and you can pretty much, have them without even investing anything. That is one little caveat there. But I do think that now the rest of the world is a little bit pressured to make sure that they're rising up to the challenge, and answering these calls. You're going to be safe regardless of what you decide to move forward with. It's just no one can tell you what's going to be the best in a week. no one can probably tell you what's going to be best tomorrow, if I'm being super transparent with you. Really quickly, before we continue, a couple of new people joined. I think Jason, Tony Ward, Alex Bungur, I see you there. Matt, so welcome everyone. Now we also got Elizabeth. Awesome to have everyone here. I think this is so far our biggest turnout. So it's amazing to see so many people here. But yeah, Leo, thank you for that question. Carlin, let's go for it, man.
And the food's better in Chiang Mai too.
It's absolutely beautiful.
It's open.
The Thai soy, everyone, you got to try it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey,
Go for it,
obviously, MCP servers are sweeping across the AI landscape. How are you approaching that, Julian? I mean, I've been able to watch one or two of your videos. Just talk to me about what you're feeling about it and how it seems. It's almost like, oh, should I wait till the MCP servers are all in place before spending a lot of time with even all the N8n AI agents? What's your approach there, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, like I really spent this, because it's really only been like the last sort of 5 days, 4 or 5 days that MCP servers are really being talked about. The way that I see it is like, this is just a more efficient way of building agents. So it saves a lot of time, right? Previously, if you're building a N8n automation, even if you just want to use the full capabilities of one app, in an N8n AI agent, you can have like 10 branches of it, right? Like one for sending emails, reading emails, getting emails, drafting emails, labeling emails, etc. And so like the MCP servers are really, really good for just making things very efficient. At the same time, it's so early in the game that they're not even natively supported inside N8n. You have to like locally host it, and then you have to do a bunch of hard coding, like you might have seen in the latest video. So I think it's a future, but it's kind of like no one really knows what that's going to look like right now. And I think it's just got to become easier. I wouldn't let it stop you from building AI agents. Honestly, like I think I spent about 45 minutes preparing that N8n workflow between Airbnb and Brave Search. I don't know if you saw that one earlier today, but it's a lot of work. Whereas if you just set up your standard custom GPT, you can get that done in like 15 minutes, and it's a workflow that's going to save you hundreds of hours. So it's very early days with MCPs. I think like just wait until like it becomes easier to use them.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like standardizing the interface and making it a lot easier, but I'm seeing it's just pieces all over the place. Everybody's trying to get theirs out as fast as possible because it's the new buzzword. That's what it seems like.
100% is all the YouTubers too, all the influencers are doing that, right? Like everyone's trying to put videos out about MCPs.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. Everybody's talking.
Yeah. One thing to add here, Carlin, if you remember last week, because I know you were here last week, we spoke about Manus because that was the hot thing, right? Manus just came out and a lot of people were like, oh, do I host it locally? Do I wait for, getting access code? It's kind of the same here. Like it depends on how much time you want to invest. If you want to test it out and you see it, it definitely is going to put you ahead of the curve once they are released. But otherwise, like Julian said, just hang on tight and we're going to get them eventually.
And then I guess there's one thing I'll add is this is kind of the AI anonymous group where you deal with the overwhelm, because that seems to be the biggest need is
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's the number one question we get. It's like, we do about these updates. What are we supposed to do? What's the next time?
You might need to develop a 12-step program for all of us to, deal with this.
I'm going to need that program as well. And I work with Julian every day. It's a little bit hectic. It's a little bit overwhelming. Yeah. But I mean, that is why we're trying to keep up to date every single day. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but yesterday I released, Julian posted and I released around 8 new lessons. And also we opened up a new class in the classroom, which is specifically for an N8n template workflows. So we are trying to do stuff daily, but I mean, even for us, it kind of gets crazy. But yeah, thank you for that, Carlin. Awesome input. Matt, I saw your hand go up.
Everybody, this is Matt. I'm in Texas. I just joined last week, so complete rookie. But Julie, I actually was introduced to your stuff a little bit before, and then when you spoke with Charles Float last year on his longer live share webinar a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So just wanted to jump in. Overwhelmed. So just 3 quick things. We can address them whenever, even if it's for the time. Number one, as a rookie, first timer with all of this, trying to go deep dive in. Start with crash course here in the school program, or would you recommend a different thing just because of the way things have have developed here in the recent days?
I can help you with that, Matt, but also Julian can pitch in if he thinks he needs to. Right now, the way we have the classroom set up is foundations and getting started is something to kind of intro you to what you're going to experience internally. Every single class that exists in the classroom is labeled according to what type of things you can expect internally. And then if you want to just find everything dumped in one place, that's going to be your crash course and the SOPs. The actual crash, the actual crash course named lesson was the first thing we added in February when we opened the classroom on school. But if you want to have more systemized approach to it, start with foundations and getting started. And from there, just pick the one thing that we advise when you're taking a look at the time audit and you're realizing, okay, where do I want to start with my company or with my business or with the thing I'm trying to automate? What is the one thing that's either going to save me the most money or the most time? You're going to take a look at that and you're going to start small. Starting way too big is something that a lot of people do and they mess up. You know, you got to start with the small steps, figure out what it is that's going to help you the most and just go from there.
Then that leads to the time saving. One thing I've also noticed out here in the US in trying to rank number one, let's say in the organic rankings for suburbs. And I'll define that as a city of 50,000 to 100,000 surrounding a larger area. I'm in the Dallas, Texas area. So there are 13 towns that have over 100,000 people that aren't just Dallas proper. Okay. Internally there, when I do external authority links on a landing page, let's just use something like plumbing that everyone can understand around the world. Each city's government has local plumbing codes and ordinances. And when I actually add that link in my testing, it jumps me up 3 spots or more once Google indexes the page. So if I go from number 7 to number 4, number 3, number 1, whatever it is, I'm having trouble other than doing it manually because there's no standardization between each town next over to each other doesn't have uniformity on those things where I can then have an AI pull the code and then I have the actual link and go from there. And I was having trouble with my prompts with that. So it would, as I go through the lessons, my only question is when I have something like that, is that something worth putting into the Q&A in the lesson? Is that the type of thing that's appropriate?
So the Q&A lesson is actually just the recordings from these Q&As. Would you just describe there?
Sorry, in the school, I'm sorry. I didn't word that properly.
Yeah, if you want to phrase it as a question in the community itself, it's definitely helpful. We have great minds in there that constantly try to help, and give advice. I would absolutely advise you do that there. One thing that's going to help me so I can better understand how to help you, because this sounds a little bit more complex, is if you just do like a little loom for me or a descript. It doesn't matter what kind of video it is, so that I can best understand where, the wall is. Usually when I get a text message that's, 5 sentences long, it's very hard to understand where the difficulty is. But when I look at it, I can help you best, Matt, to be honest with you.
Thank you. And then the other thing I was going to ask that some people in the crypto side of things have morphed into things like NFTs and ultimately metaverses. And Julian, was one thing I think I brought up on the Charles one months back. I didn't clarify it because it was only able to be, like you said, a couple characters at a type thing. Some of these new virtual worlds are actual digital twins of Earth. So I could fly a drone to where you went to high school and to your home. And normally, who cares? Right now, I found use cases for these, but they actually have SEO benefit, at least at the local level, and they could actually be used for affiliates. So, for example, here in the US, they released the JFK files yesterday. So if anyone had anything in Dallas, Texas, where the event took place in 1963, people would theoretically flock to that if they could see little characters, and then it could go from there. It could lead to an affiliate. I'm not saying it's appropriate to do. I would not do that. I'm just saying you have high emotion topics that people could then have identity around the world. I found the way to get the public links indexed in Google, and they all have DR of Ahrefs at 30 or higher. So I'm using them for citations, site, and a few other things on low competition, but I'm having some AI trouble with that. So I'll post that in the community as well with a loom. I just didn't know if anybody had any expertise in those yet and found the SEO side of it. And then how would AI come in so I could scale 3D buildings and avatars? Because I think it's an open spot on the Monopoly board for all of us to get new links and new traffic in new ways. And thank you.
And you're welcome, Matt. Honestly, I don't even know how to answer that last one. Maybe Julian will, but really quickly, in terms of like open landscape in SEO, one thing that I encountered I spent 2 months in Thailand, and one thing I encountered is a lot of the places, the actual physical restaurants, they were naming them by SEO practices. So it would be called like best cow soy Chiang Mai, for example. And I found that so funny because that's literally naming it so that it ranks, you know? So what you're saying in a virtual world, it sounds like there's absolutely a use case, but I don't have anything off of the top of my dome. Maybe Julian could add something to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing any. I'm trying to think if I've seen anything in the virtual world like that. Not so much. I mean, I don't know if you remember, there was that club, like a social club that Facebook created. And it was like invite only, and people could talk to each other directly on it. I can't remember if anyone remembers the name of that. But something like that, like you go where the eyeballs are, right? So like if all the attention is in one place and go there, you know, same as like YouTube or anything like that. I'm sure there are like these worlds that are going to open up, kind of like Ready Player One, where you have these AI world people,
and that's what these things are. They're digital twins of Earth, or there's augmented reality for image generation. But now you can put something on someone's phone with a link, so they could stare at Julian, if something had happened to you emotionally that was high emotion to you, or just let's just say it was in a parking lot. If I hold my phone right now and look at it in my normal phone, it's in my camera, it's just a piece of concrete, asphalt. But with the link, there's augmented reality comes up. So not only do you see the image like in a GLB file or whatever it is, there's a clickable link that then takes people to whatever landing page you want. And it's that URL that actually was getting indexed in Google, and they're pressing on the DR of like a 53 and it's getting indexed and it can be optimized. So I'm trying to blend both worlds that way. And I just needed some help because it's so manual right now. When I spoke with founders, they're only thinking in manual one by one manual. And I was just wanted to speed up the process exponentially.
Honestly, Matt, if you figure out a solution, give us a hint because I think we'd also love to get our hands on that. Like sometimes we're not going to have the best approach to it or the answers to it. But yeah, it sounds a very cool use case. So please carry on developing that. No,
much appreciated. Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. Yeah, Alex, I see your hand. Just one sec before we go there. Julian, I think it was called the Metaverse for Facebook. But I don't know. Like,
yeah, there was another one. I'll try and find it, but you carry on, and if I find the name, I'll let you share. I'll call it out like bingo.
Sure. Because I saw a couple of hands going up. Alex, I'm gonna get to you guys. If you raise your virtual hand on clicking on the React thing, it's gonna just help me have a flow so that I don't randomly, ask for people. But Alex, go for it. Welcome. It's good to see you again.
Hi, Vic, and good to see you. And Julian, good to see you. So guys, one thing that I'm working on right now is, I've not really looked into this over the years. I want to really boost up my cold email strategy now that we have AI. And most of my niche is dentists. I have some of my friends who are targeting dentists in the US, and they've been really successful using cold email and using AI. And I wanted to just really ask Julian if we have any course out there that we can take a look at. And basically the way they're doing it right now is they're using AI to go out and basically scrape information on Facebook, on Google, LinkedIn, and they basically send cold emails out to these contacts. And they're using Zapier, they're using high level. So I don't know, Julian and Vic, if you guys have anything within the members area that you can cut. Yes, I want to really pay attention to cold email. I have not really paid attention to it. I've always run Facebook ads and Google ads, but I wanted to see what else I can do with that.
So first and foremost, absolutely we do. We're actually even working on a little module in the classroom that is just called high-level automation. Someone really quickly asked about it, David Lee. I'm working on that, so it might take a week or two more, but definitely something that's coming up is going to be that. So that is the first part of that question. The second part is you mentioned going out there and scraping, emails, information. This is twofold. One part of it is I can actually definitely tell you that there are a lot of tools that you can use to do this. I've mentioned one tool that I've used in the past quite a lot is called Phantom Buster. Pretty good for LinkedIn, Sales App, and also Instagram. When it comes to scraping information, like for example, if you have a list. Also, though, what you can do is you can use stuff like Apollo. You can use Zoom Info, I think it was called as well. A lot of these places have information that you can segment. Let's say you said you're targeting dentists, right? I know your niche. So let's say you're only targeting dentists in Texas, for example, right? So you can segment it down by amount of employees, by size of company, revenue, etc. And this is how you can scrape the cold emails. The emails, so that you can start your cold emailing campaign. When it comes to a cold emailing campaign, you can actually use a lot of stuff. There's too many companies out there that kind of help with this, whether it's Mailshake or Quick Mail or Mailgun. There's a bunch of them that just help you specifically when it comes to emailing. Why we prefer Go High Level? Because Go High Level doubles down as well as a CRM, and it also helps you automate when you also want to add, for example, SMS automations, etc. So in that regard, it's pretty good. In terms of AI, now this is the only part that I'm going to kind of be very transparent with you. With Go High Level, what I think works best is, let's say you just create a script or an email or whatever chain that you want to last. It doesn't matter whether it's 5 emails, 100 emails, whatever. And you just create a couple of workflows. You can have the sign up workflow, which is basically engaging new signups. You can have the warm follow-up workflow, which is basically someone that just signed up within the last month. And then you can have like the cold workflow. And this is where, people are going to trickle in from one workflow to another. The emails, you're going to preset before you launch these workflows, and you're going to put variables in there. Go High Level is pretty good with variables. So you can have like context name in there. You can have contact company. The main thing that you want to remember is always make sure to figure out how you can add value in these emails, because that is what's going to help you convert these cold leads, So give them a little bit of value, give them some free, give them some access to something, and that is going to honestly work the best for you. Joe, I can definitely put links in as soon as someone else starts talking. I can give you links to Buster as well as some of the other tools. Alex, does that help?
Yeah, it does really help. It does really help. So the course that you guys are putting together, you said it's going to be ready by next week or so?
Okay. I don't want to promise. I don't want to overpromise.
Not close to this, man.
Yeah. So what I'm going to tell you is I'm going to make sure that we deliver it by end of month. That is a guarantee. Okay. So it's Go High Level automations that we're trying to build. And it's pretty good ones that you can kind of extrapolate and use for yourself as well.
So, okay. I'm looking at Phantom Buster anyway. I'm looking at Phantom Buster
absolutely.
Right now. So it's a good tool definitely to collect emails online.
Absolutely. So I just linked it as well in the chat for anyone that's interested. I'm going to drop a couple more links in there so that everyone can have access to Apollo, like I mentioned, Mailshake, Mailgun, whatever you guys prefer, as well as Go High Level. Never used Instantly, to be honest with you, Jason, but let's go in order. Anything else on your side, Alex?
No, that was it. I just wanted to find if there's any training course that we have that could really help.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Nathan, before we get to you, sorry, Tony is really struggling to raise his hand. So I'm just going to go to Tony Ward real quick. So Tony, go for it, man.
Hey guys. Okay, so I'm still into that AI assistant mode, trying to get that AI assistant.
Absolutely.
And I was wondering, what type of content do you guys have about that? And one of the specific questions that I have is, can you have an chat? Can you have like a personal assistant, like the interface where you communicate with her? I'm looking at the ChatGPT where you have this black interface and you ask questions. So can you have this exact interface where you can go to your mobile and communicate with ChatGPT, and then you go to your laptop and continue the thread there? Can you take that ChatGPT and connect it to RAG and to make that part smart, or you need to go to a completely different interface? I asked ChatGPT about it, and he mentioned something like a voice flow. Is that how you envision the communication between you and your assistant?
Not necessarily. So I think it's two different kind of questions in here, Tony. So the first part is the AI assistant that we, introduced last week, which is basically part of 11 Labs conversational AI, is a lot more in line with inbound calls. So think of it like a VA that's taking calls. And the reason why it's so good is, one, it's 24/7, so it doesn't sleep. Two, it's always consistent and it collects data for you. And three, it's basically able to adapt to any language. We haven't tested every language. This is on 11 Labs, but it's such a cool feature to me, if you ask me, did the fact that you can do it. So that is one part of the AI assistant, right? So it's your conversational that can either be in chat, but usually we've tied it down to a phone. So if someone calls, it just takes the data. The good part also is it tells them, hey, this is an AI agent. This call is recorded, so kind of asks for consent because you have to do this, right? We don't want to be liable for anything. So that's one part. But the second part of what you're talking about is you want to have like a conversational AI where you feed it all of the information that, for example, is relevant to your business. And you ask it, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Is this kind of what you're having in mind?
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. The first part that you mentioned is already checked. We have done
Nice.
that. So now that's a different part, different solution that we're working on. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So there is something that we've introduced, but it's not in exactly the same version that you want it to be or like what you're explaining. So I'm just going to send it in chat now. It's called an AI data analyst chatbot, and it basically works similar to what you're saying. This is an example workflow that you can use and kind of customize to what you need. But I'm pretty sure that if you sit down and tinker with it, you can figure out how to make it respond to the things that you're after. You're going to naturally need to do this on your own, but this kind of gives you a starting point, I would say, because it kind of showcases how to build this in N8n. But if you're looking for something more simplistic, like you were saying, with GPT, right? You talk to it on your phone, you talk to it on your laptop, it's the same chat. I would actually advise you that you sit down and you create a custom GPT. You just name it after your business. I think it was my e-video, right? You just name it after your business and you feed it with PDFs or Word files that are relevant to the topics you want to discuss with it. You can feed it, past knowledge. You can feed it like industry trends, whatever you want. And once you do that, Tony, like you can start building this conversation and you can build out your AI agent using that custom GPT.
So the custom GPT is from the chat GPT itself. You do it?
Yes,
From
absolutely.
ChatGPT?
Yes, that you can find a lesson on how to do that in the classroom. If you go to foundations and getting started, it's called how to set up custom GPT. It's the 4th lesson in there, and it's going to help you kind of understand how to set it up. If you struggle though, Tony, drop me a message on school. I can definitely film a loom for you or try to guide you step by step. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome, Tony. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my man. Awesome. All right, Nathan, let's go for it.
All right. Good morning, guys. Or good morning, where I'm at anyway. Kind of early here. Love all the Chiang Mai talk too. I'm hungry for this, Kelly. I work in the data engineering space and have been building a lot of N8n workflows and agents, and I'd love to be able to kind of bundle them up and sell them. I'm vaguely aware that you can, maybe do that on Fiverr. I'm a little concerned that maybe that's kind of low market. I guess I was hoping to hear, others' experience with selling agents. There's all kinds of, considerations there, like, oftentimes an agent's going to need to have credentials on a, the buyer's infrastructure, for example. And so is it selling templates then? And I don't know if somebody can riff a little bit on what it's like selling agents.
I'm going to let anyone else answer as well if they want to, Nathan. I can give you my 2 cents. I kind of think you're hitting the nail on the head right there, though. If you want to create N8n templates and you want to monetize them, the workflow section on N8n is amazing to do this. Like it gets searched daily and there are millions of users on it right now because of its popularity. So that is a good place. I do need to warn you that, for example, 2 weeks ago, it was on 900 workflows. Right now it's on 1500. So it is growing rapidly. This is on N8n natively. So if you are interested in something that you think is going to be a very strong use case, monetizing it there, absolutely smart. But if you want a little bit more exposure or easier to get to work, like you said, Fiverr or Upwork, like those would be good bets. It's just that it might require you to get a VA, for example, someone to actually hold these conversations for you or negotiate these things for you, and kind of start these projects. And the third thing I would say is maybe you can just go out there and market yourself as an N8n expert, kind of go out there and say, hey, I'm willing to do like a custom template. It might cost you upwards of 1,000, 2,000, depends how much you value your time. But that is also a thing that you can kind of think about. And I think there is a lot of potential right now with how the AI and the automation landscape is, currently looking.
Yeah, what I've seen so far is that a lot of the agents tend to be, I don't know, kind of mass market appeal, not terribly sophisticated. I guess my, excuse me, my niche is a little bit more kind of technical, like
Absolutely.
it's mostly a marketing problem, right? Now, is it good to like specialize in a particular niche? I mean, data engineering and stuff like that. Is that, I don't know if anyone has any thoughts or experience with that.
My thoughts here are going to be that if you're going to create a template that's for marketing or sales, it's probably going to get a lot more hits than if you create one for engineering, because I think a lot of engineering folk are going to sit down and do their own, maybe. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to use my sense, like, as in, if I'm looking for an engineering template, probably the only one that's going to work for me is the one I build myself, because I'm going to know my problem best. And when it comes to marketing, social media, they're pretty much all exactly the same. You have, a chat, it goes into an AI agent, and then it transforms or repurposes the content for 4 different platforms, and that's it. You get what I'm trying to say? So, like, I think if you want to find an easier market that might be a little bit more saturated, that would be your sales, your marketing, maybe even HR, stuff like this. But if you're looking for real professional stuff, engineering, but you might not get as many hits.
I don't know if you're not, but I mean, depending if they have a little more clarity as to which niches you're particularly good at or what particular skills you're good at. What I'm finding out is that even though we're ahead of the curve, and we're going to probably be ahead of the curve quite a little while here, before the layman person, the average person, the business person is trying to figure all this stuff out because they have their business to run and all this. And this is what I'm running into. I mean, I run into one of my clients who 2 years into it, they're like, "What's ChatGPT?" And you're like, "Oh my goodness, seriously?" So if there's somebody who already has a client base, and then this is probably, I don't know, that work with somebody, and we're not, like, I'm not proficient at N8 yet. I can be, but I just haven't the dedicated time. If you're able to solve a problem for them that solves it for their client, that potentially would be an application which could potentially be used. And they're already doing the market. They're already doing that part of it. So that might be another way to be able to do that, because they're looking for a solution. And if you're providing that solution, you can focus on that strength. So kind of like in businesses, you have people that are doing certain things, like they're really good at this, and then somebody else is really good at that. So you don't have to become good at the marketing per se if somebody already has that market to be able to connect to. And they're like, "Oh, that I need a profile. Can you do that?" And you're like, "Oh, yes, no problem. I can type down 2 seconds." And then implementation. Now, the second part of this is you're talking about the ABIC. Would it be possible to be able to have the majority of the questions of the major things that you're dealing with, to have a chatbot that answers most of that? And if it came down to then potentially be able to go, when it gets to this point of the bot that it can't answer, then it relays it over to a human being that potentially at that point would potentially be able to do that. Because I know that's a solution that we're finding for some of our clients. And initially I was like, well, everybody's doing chatbots, whatever. But then the thought process was like, wait a minute, a lot of people aren't. So let me put it into their hands. And once they get hooked into that, then you're like, now you're dropped off at the point where they're ready to do something.
Yeah. I agree with you fully, Leo. And I think one of the things that people don't utilize enough is you want to use these chatbots, whether it's conversational or a written one, to basically qualify the lead. And if the lead is qualified, you want them into your pipeline. Like, that is the first thing you do. And have multiple pipelines. Have a pipeline for super cheap offers, for low budgets, have a pipeline for every single offer you're going to encounter. And this way, you're never going to let go of the lead. That is what my number one advice would be right there.
Awesome. And another thing, Vic, another thing as well that you could do is to basically create a profile on Upwork. And you will be surprised so many businesses go to Upwork to look for maybe what Nathan is doing. It will be really easy for him to just go to Upwork, create a profile, and list basically the capabilities of what he has to offer. And lots of businesses go there all the time to, especially now that AI is all over the place. So
Absolutely.
for him to just go to Upwork, create a profile, and let Upwork do
Absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
Great,
agreed.
great. Lots of great.
Listen, I have a thought about that as well. So we are a video marketing agency, and we are looking for partners in the area of the AI. So if that's something that have an expertise in the field that we can develop and partner with. So yeah, I'm open to conversation if you are, Nathan.
I love this. Look at this. Putting us people together.
I can put my email here, and if you like, you can just let me know, and we can have this conversation.
Yeah, that'd be
Awesome
great.
stuff.
Yeah,
You can just show up to the Q&As.
For me as well. For me as well. I think it's better for you to share Nathan's information because it's good for we to say it, and that way maybe we can help him out even more.
Sure
All
thing.
right.
Sure thing. I love that. Nathan, let's go. You see, you might find some work here. Who cares about work? Just join the AI Profit Boardroom. A little bit of a marketing slap. Sorry, guys.
I'm already doing some of the things you guys are talking about. I mean, I work with
Nice.
other agencies like digital analytics agents.
Nice.
They're kind of like, I get in with them and then it's their customer bases. So it's not like, I'm not necessarily going after engineers, but I have engineering solutions to things that
Nice.
digital marketing agencies use as part of their data engineering pipelines. So anyway,
Honestly,
I appreciate
Nathan,
everyone.
drop your email in chat. I might get in touch as well. That's awesome. So let's go to Jason. Jason, I saw your hand go up a few minutes ago.
And there, yeah, just kind of circling back to the custom GPT, feeding them the information. I set up the email automation with Zapier with using the Claude API. So I'm just wondering if you feed a custom GPT, like all your SOPs and like your pricing tables, can you then use the API to reference that specific GPT to give greater context to your email responses? Like, how would you go about integrating that, agent for you to just to give you more context, right? Because I find sometimes with the emails, you got to kind of do a lot of work on it, right?
Yeah. So there is one thing that you can do in N8n, and you can have actually a memory module, or I don't know if it has a more professional way to call it, but basically that is what you can do in N8n itself. You can kind of train it up there. When it comes to your custom GPT, the thought has never crossed my mind. Like, Julian, are you capable of using a custom GPT in N8n?
I'm not saying you kind of like building your own custom GPT inside of there, right? So you can upload when this is message, all the information. Yeah. I think like you can also, there's a knowledge section. So you can add, for example, like a memory buffer, but then there are other ways of storing the knowledge where it can add more context. So for example, I think you can upload knowledge in a database and it stores it as like vector files. And then it would have information with all your recipes, all the information about you and etc. Right. So if you want to store a lot of data, that's a better way to do it. If it's just like a few things, like a few personalizations, like, here's how we handle emails, here's a tonality, here's a bit of information about our services, not about us, then you can just put that inside the system message of the N8n agent, and that'll work much better. Plus it'll use less tokens because it's got less context and knowledge to deal with.
Right. So you're saying N8n is the better way to do this as opposed to like the Zapier, like Claude API type of thing?
I think so, yeah, because it's got more freedom to personalize it, right? Like, for example, if we use Zapier, we'll just give it a few instructions, like a couple of paragraphs. But if you want to get a lot of information, like it seems like you might be, then something like N8n is going to be better.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I haven't really looked at the N8n stuff, so I'll take a look at that.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, for example, like you can even feed it in like your emails, your Google Sheets, everything like that. So it's got even more context to pull through into the AI agent when it's answering yourself,
Yeah, and like you'll still be able to have it automatically create a draft for you in your email, or is this kind of like you have to go in and paste? Because like I found using the way the workflow that was before, like every single email that I was getting was making a draft, right? And you get a lot of just like, stuff that you don't really respond to. They're not clients. So what I did is I went in and I made a label called reply. So as soon as I get an email, I can just mark it as reply, and then it'll only create a draft for those specific emails.
That's a smart way to do it, man. Definitely. But we had the same problem where it was just answering everything. It's like,
yeah,
it emails like, John has entered your Zoom meeting. You don't need to write.
Exactly.
One thing to add to what Julian was saying is basically the rule of thumb is if you're looking for something simple and super straightforward, Zapier. If you're looking for something simple, straightforward, and with a lot of native integrations, Make. If you're looking to be creative or do stuff that is maybe a little bit more advanced, like you and Julian were just talking about, Jason, N8n. So it's like, that's how you look at the three platforms, and Zapier is great to get you started. N8n is great to get you, to the next level.
Okay. So basically N8n is going to be able to do anything I can do in Zapier now.
Probably a lot better as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks.
No worries, Jason. Glad to answer that. Matt, I saw your hand go up.
Just one thing for Tony. I saw that you're doing video marketing, if that's correct, if I heard that correctly. Tony, if you're doing anything with YouTube in particular, and then also to now, if you don't mind using a platform, depending where you are in the world, and certain people do or don't like it, but the kind of the next largest video sharing, at least in the US, of the regular 16:9 videos, not the vertical reel type videos, like say for TikTok, regular video style, Rumble. Rumble now is getting indexed in Google, and I know follow links, but you can at least start to rank for second tier keywords. And then in YouTube, I was starting to use just basic intro level, third grade, elementary school ChatGPT for writing descriptions for YouTube playlists, but also starting to use with tools to help me find. There's a structure to making a playlist where if you add video from 5 or more other channels besides your own, and they're relevant, but they don't compete with what you're doing. So if you're doing real estate, say, for example, on behalf of a client, maybe something from that town's chamber of commerce, whatever, but instead of having to hunt and peck manually to find the videos, you're writing the description and optimizing the structure of the playlist. And then once the playlist, if you look at a playlist, you can optimize that shell, make almost like I call it a movie theater, where if you own the movie theater, you don't care what movies are showing, just as long as someone comes in through that front door and buys a ticket and buys popcorn or a soft drink or whatever to drink. As soon as that playlist starts getting more views, the playlist can skyrocket on lower tier keywords to #1 in YouTube within 24 hours. And within a week, could actually cross over to rank in Google on page 1 for the same keyword at the same time. So just wanted to let you know that
It was 60.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost it. So I just wanted to offer that to Tony if that helps in any way.
Absolutely.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So I will, you just plant the seed. I will think about it.
Yeah. But I'm going to redesign my profiles and I'll post a thing in the community. If I do a little lean or something, I'll send it to your direction. But that's part of your video marketing. And then the other thing is you could also use that as content to embed on a landing page, optimized in essence for the same keyword or some LSI. And they're, the synonyms, whatever you want to call the phrasing. But that also then can serve because it's Google owned content, and you could basically get 30 birds with one stone, a #1 ranking in YouTube, a page 1 ranking in Google, and then the landing page itself with some AI generated content. It actually could be copy paste depending on the competition. Plunk the playlist in. You now have a chance to basically get 3 pieces of use case to generate a lead or a click or whatever you're trying to accomplish. So I just wanted to offer that to you in case you hadn't seen it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, GPT is helping on the basics.
I haven't yet.
No, it's all good.
Thank you.
All good. That's pretty good. Honestly, by the way, guys, one interesting fact is Rumble CEO is Macedonian, and I'm Macedonian. So, us Macedonians doing well out there. Anyways, Leo, I saw your hand go up, so go for it.
And this might be a beginner kind of question. When I'm looking at some of these platforms, like when you're looking at Convergence, you're looking at Manage, you're looking at all these. One of the things that I want to look at is security components. Like at what point are some of the things to keep in mind? Like I actually read part of the terms of service of, I think it was Convergence, that said they actually keep usernames and passwords in there. And I'm like, well, hold on for a second. Before I give you access to my Google account, or anything else that I do, I want to make sure that that's going to be secure, and especially if it's somewhere that it's hosted on the cloud. So what kind of security tips, what can you provide to be able to go, okay, when you get to this point, you really want to be careful what you give out, but anything like that would be helpful.
Yeah, 100%. First and foremost, two-factor authentication. I'm not going to lie. Just put 2FA on anything and everything, that is going to be what's going to save you the most. When it comes to all of the AI out there and all of the security concerns, we saw what happened with DeepSeek a month ago, right? Then there's murmurs about maybe Manus kind of having something similar. But it's very hard to give you a truthful answer because I don't think there's any way for us to know, So if I'm being honest with you, be very vigilant. Like, it is a day and age where too many people are kind of too lenient or don't think too much about their security. So one thing I'm going to say is make sure to understand the tools you're using very, very well. Make sure to try and find reviews online on them. So don't go venture into this tool that promises everything and then some, and you feed it all your information. And yeah, two-factor authentication, like whether it's going to be an authenticator on your phone or it's going to be through an SMS or whatever you do, just that way is what I would recommend.
And I do all that in terms of like for when I'm using it particularly, but when I'm talking about like you're coding something or in a particular thing that you're wanting convergence to do or something like that, when it needs access to some of the tools to be able to do that, and I'm like, hold on. Do I want to give you my password at this point in time for that? Or I just think I'll basically spread out all I've done right now is just things that don't require necessarily my password over anything, just to be able to create stuff. But
what I would say, Leo, is set up secondary accounts to those things that you're questioning. So let's say you're questioning your Google Drive, whether you give it access to your sheets because you might have personal stuff in there. Just set up a secondary. Just use secondary backups that are not your primary. It can be about anything and everything. Secondary Facebook, secondary Instagram, just to kind of verify and see how it goes. Just because I think that way you're going to make sure that you're safe, or the primary thing is at least safe and sound for now until we know a little bit better. Awesome. It has been so chatty today, and I'm loving it. All right, guys. Anyone else have any interesting AI question, automation question, something that you're curious about? Come on now, don't be shy.
Right, which is always helping out a bit. That's right. Also, if there was I'm growing my SEO agency. If there was a component of that I would say, you know what, you have this in place to kind of help you scale up. I know that I still have to go through my flows of saying, okay, these things you should automate for, you should not automate for. What would be the single biggest thing that kind of helped you guys be able to go, okay, let's automate that part so that we could open up more time to do.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this answer to anyone and everyone. It's so widely applicable. There is no way for me to tell you what's going to help you the most. The thing that you can do is you can kind of sit down and you can kind of think about we segment our tasks according to three things. We look for tasks that we can either delegate, automate, or eliminate. And that is how we do with everything. We sit down and we do this process. If we can automate it, we then go by how much time and cost does each of these tasks save us if we were to automate it. So you take a look at, for example, cold outreach. You take a look at VAs. You take a look at blog posting. You just take a bunch of these tasks that you think you can and you should automate, and you just prioritize them. And you start with the one that is either most costly or most time consuming. That's what we did. I think we started with all of our email automation. We have too many inquiries or interests, people coming in, filling out the forms, So we said, this is way too time consuming. It requires 3 to 5 VAs. We literally had a team working 24/7 to cover this because of the strain we had. So that's where we started, And for us, for example, we don't struggle with blogs. We're an SEO agency. That is not something we automate. We do it human. So it really depends on your agency, Leo, like you said. Sit down and do this like time audit. Take those tasks, and the first moment you're like, absolutely, this is a task I need to automate, that's where you start. Awesome. All right, Matt.
Just wanted to ask, as I progress further with the AI tools also for, let's say you're taking social media, and there are a lot of pieces of content out there that are text-based, which would be perfect for AI tools to mine, but they really don't have any representation in other media form. So I'll give an example, world news from more obscure countries, right? That's difficult to get, all the way to predictive capabilities in something like crypto or stock market or wherever else is there. And that's its own animal, which I understand. But from the ability to mine the data and increase the predictive linguistics, is that anything that yet been covered in the class tools at this point, or is that something coming up at some point? So we can make predictions, let's say on world things. So we can also, you know, how typically it's say in SEO, we look for Google Trends to get ahead of the upcoming keywords. I want to be able to even be ahead of Google Trends because I want to know what's coming up. Only and then but narrow it down to ones that have the highest odds of a stick rate using predictive modeling, if that's possible. I was just curious if that's anything that you and Julian have planned for the course in the coming months. Thank you.
No worries. I think one of the things that maybe MCP is going to do in the future is exactly that, because of the way it's going to be working and helping you kind of live navigate the network. Maybe you can figure out how to, you know, set up an AI agent that's going to be able to use MCPs. Right now, we use it through Brave, right, Julian? So maybe in the future, that is something you can take a look at. When it comes to Google Trends, though, there is a workflow that I saw a couple of days ago. I can try fetch it for you, Matt, where it basically extracted Google Trend keywords and summarized them, summarized the articles in like sheets. So for example, if you're looking for what is trending today, there is a workflow out there that can do this. If you drop me a DM on School, I can definitely hook you up with this. All right, Greg.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome, Matt. Greg.
Just quick question. If anybody has used data for SEO API for scraping SERP information, if anybody's used that.
Can you explain a little bit more?
So data for SEO is a website that has an API to get SERP information from Amazon products, Google search, etc. So I was wondering if it's, I guess the question is kind of twofold. Is it worthwhile? Do they have good enough information? And then secondly, is it worth it to try to SEO optimize things anymore?
Okay. I'm going to start with the latter part because I don't have an answer for the first part. I haven't used that tool, unfortunately, Greg, but is it worth the SEO optimize? If I tell you how many times we hear this, you're not going to believe it, but everyone is thinking like, you know, what happens now when you search in AI? How do those things get ranked, et cetera, right? So a lot of people are thinking like, what do we do with SEO? I can absolutely promise you that there is no better time to invest in SEO than today because of how many possibilities there are. Like if you're thinking about one thing, it's actually how do I remain top of the game? Whether it's going to be Google or it's going to be a different way to do it, like SEO is never going to die. Like search engine optimization, voice engine optimization, AI engine optimization, whatever you want to call it, right? So it's absolutely crucial and it's worth it. But as for your tool, I don't have an answer. Maybe Julian does. I don't know.
Yeah, for the tool, like, I mean, the ones that I've used for scraping SERP data, Perplexity is pretty good. Brave Search is really good. Brave Search is actually free for the first 2,000 scrapes as well. Yeah, and then there's Serper. Serper API is really good. So typically when I'm using those sort of APIs to get the data that I want, I'm going to create my own agent. So to create an AI agent inside N8n, you can give it a prompt, telling it exactly what you want to scrape, how you want it to organize the data, what you want it to look for. And then you can get it to scrape the SERPs using Brave Search or using Serper API. Both of them are like kind of like a Google search. Okay. And that's how you can organize the data. And then the AI agent can give you that data and you can pass it on to like a content outline agent, or you could pass information onto a content writer agent and use that SERP information to write better articles and get better outputs.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think it's, is it serper.dev, Julian, that website?
I want it's serpapi.com, so SERP API.com. But if you just add a tool to your AI agent inside N8n, you just type in SERP and it should come up. SERP.
Yep. Awesome. Guys, we have about a minute left. It's been such an amazing turnout today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, asking so many questions. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up after this Q&A and drop the link in the school community. If you have any questions, any interests, drop me a DM. I'll do my best to get to you. Sorry if I'm a little bit slow sometimes. I get so many DMs. And I'm also going to put up a form so that if you cannot attend next Q&A, you can just drop the questions there and maybe I can answer them for you, and Julian will be there as well. And maybe we can cover that for you guys. But yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for all your input. And let's try to stay on top of the game.
So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to the AI Profit Boardroom community and jump on weekly Q&As, you can see the calendar right here. We have Q&A calls every single week. If you get stuck in between those sessions, you can post in the community and we'll help answer any questions you have. So for example, you can see all these questions are getting answers ASAP. You can jump on the Q&A calls with us. You can watch back previous recordings inside the classroom, along with all of our best templates, automations, workflows, and courses on AI agents, AI SEO, crash courses, SOPs, all of my best social media automations, and that's all directly inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Feel free to get it, link in the comments description. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to get that. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a free custom tailored link building plan designed to generate you more leads, sales, and profits from your website. You discover the secrets of SEO link building, answer any questions you have one-to-one on that call, and you'll learn how to 10x your SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments description. Appreciate you watching. Bye-bye.